I've been doing stand-up for about 6 years now. I did a community college course on stand-up comedy. After years and years of talking about doing it, my boyfriend finally just paid for the course and said, shut up and do it already. I highly recommend it. No, it was funny. It was just like 9 sad people in a room with a little microphone and an amp, and every week you had to bring 5 jokes and try them out in front of a room full of your peers and workshop them, and that's probably the most prolific as a writer I've ever been since. This is my first TV taping, and I'm very excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I brought several shirts to sweat through, so I'm feeling pretty well prepared. Thank you so much. I want to thank you all for being here on this cold, wet, blustery evening. I personally really like the cold weather, really. As you can see, I'm a very pale person. I'm also as sweaty as I am white. So summertime is not my season. I prefer sweater weather, or as I like to call it, pajama season. Anyone else like to slip into a nice comfy set of jammies at the end of a hard day? Oh, hell yeah. I bought a ton of pajamas during the lockdown in 2020 because it just felt like the right thing to do, right? We were all locked up at home with nothing to do. We were nesting. Also, I got to admit, I got self-conscious because on social media, everyone was posting photos of them in these really cool pajamas. I had no idea how subpar my pajama game was. So I went off. I bought a ton. I found pajamas that are cotton, some that are flannel, some that are satin, some that are silk. I found pajamas that have hoods. I found pajamas that have booties. I found pajamas that have a trap door over the butt. I found one brand of pajamas that has a hood, booties, and a trap door over the butt, you guys. And as an aging gay man, I know a lot of bald bottoms with bad circulation. I've got a family reunion coming up this summer that I'm actually really excited for, because I want to know more about my heritage, specifically what diseases I can expect to catch as I get older. Family reunions are a great place to get that information. You know, even before I go, I already know that the men on my father's side tend to suffer from heart disease, and all the women on my mother's side tend to come down with adult onset inability to say something nice. They're very blunt ladies on my mother's side all the way up, especially my maternal grandmother. She is the bluntest person I know. She shoots from the hip. She says what she thinks. She takes no prisoners. She's this old school Polish Catholic lady, so I was terrified to introduce her to the man that was then my boyfriend, who's now my husband. It's the first time I'd ever brought a man home to meet my extended family. And like I said, she's Polish Catholic, so very devout, but the grandkids get away with a lot more than the kids did, right? The only sins we can't commit are blasphemy and food waste. So I told him on the way over, just finish your plate and keep the Lord's name out of your mouth. We're gonna get through this. It's gonna be okay. And so they met, and she was warm and welcoming, and they hit it off, and he asked her what I was like as a child. And she said, well, the first thing you need to know about Stevie is he had diarrhea all the time growing up. Which is true, but not the first thing he needed to know about me. I should also clarify, I don't have anything serious like IBS or Crohn's disease. I have what my shrink calls anxiety. I'm a stress pooper. Most people have a fight or a flight response. I do something much weirder. It's like a plane that drops a little cargo every time it thinks it might crash. That's how I'm wired. And it was much worse for me when I was younger. And so we're having this conversation, and my grandmother looks at me. She says, Stephen, you don't really have that problem anymore, do you? And I said, no, I guess I kind of outgrew it when I became an adult. And she raises one eyebrow and leans her head back like she does when she's about to lay some wisdom on you. She says, Stevie, do you ever think you were always sick to your stomach growing up because you were holding in a terrifying secret? And my head exploded. Because I knew she was smart, but I had no idea my babcia is Polish Oprah. Holy cow. What an amazing question. That is so insightful, you know? And it is true. I had never made that connection before, but that is absolutely what was happening because my stomach problems went away right after I came out of the closet. Which means that I was so afraid of the man I was becoming that my subconscious tried to burn my butthole to the ground. Before I had even had any fun with it, you know? Talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? It's so dumb. I got sober right before the pandemic started, so I'm coming up on 2 years now, alcohol and hard drug free. Thank you very much. It was my turn. I was very messy. It needed to happen. I was worried about what it was going to mean for me as a performer getting sober, because I've always been a gay comic who talks mostly about their sexuality, and now I'm going to be a sober comic who's talking mostly about recovery. So I thought, like, what is that going to mean for my audience, you know? But I realized it's totally the same thing. I'm still just yelling about being a bummer. So the weirdest part about getting sober is telling your party friends that you're giving up the lifestyle, right? Because even though you're doing a good thing, you feel like you're giving them bad news. It's as if you're telling them that you've contracted a disease that's going to make you outlive them all, probably, right? My absolute favorite part about being sober is that I always have a conversation killer locked and loaded, just in my back pocket, just waiting. If I've ever had too much of a conversation and I want to end it, but I don't want to be rude, I can just bring up my sobriety and it will do all of the work for me. It's amazing. You would not believe how good people get at finding reasons to leave until you start talking about your clean new lifestyle. This must be what it's like to be vegan or born again, you know? It's not just my friends that don't want to talk about it either. If I bring up my sobriety when I'm on the phone with my mother, she doesn't just change the subject, she ends the call. So we both win. It's perfect. I've learned that people don't really want to hear about your life day to day as a sober person. Everyone is much more interested in what happened to you the day before you got sober. They want to hear your big, humiliating rock bottom story, right? And I hate to disappoint, I don't have one rock bottom story. I have hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny rock bottom stories from over the years. I wouldn't know where to start, you know? There were times I burned bridges, or I lost jobs, or I woke up naked in suburban basement suites next to much older men who weren't even rich. Since I've gotten sober, I've been trying a number of sort of types of self-care to just sort of feel better, because feeling your emotions all the time is exhausting. And so I've tried everything. I've tried gratitude journaling and meditation and daily affirmations. And I gotta tell you guys, it's hokey nonsense. Don't bother. So stupid. Don't do any of that stuff. You know what you should do instead? Get Botox. Get it tonight if you can. So good. Botox might not make you feel better on the inside, but neither will therapy, and at least with Botox, you'll look less stressed out, right? A lot of people are embarrassed to admit they get Botox because it's a vanity procedure. I don't care, it's also legitimate medicine. Did you know that? It's true, people use Botox to treat a whole host of ailments, things like hyperhidrosis or chronic lockjaw or migraines. It's also really common among people like me who suffer from the condition that's known as party face. Party face is something you catch when you've stayed awake for a few too many sunrises, if you catch my drift. Making that face that white guys make when they do hard drugs, you know the one. The bottom half of his face tries to do Robert De Niro. The top half, Jack Nicholson. You guys have been amazing. That's my time. I'm Steev Letts. Thank you so much. I feel good. I feel like my whole body unclenched at once. I feel 100 pounds lighter. 10 of that is sweat, but yeah, I feel very good.